Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you to NCSSM's 32nd Convocation. Now, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and be seated.
I have the pleasure to introduce the dignitaries and distinguished guests. Please hold your applause until all names are called. NCSSM Chancellor Todd Roberts, Convocation Speaker Kenneth Gibbs, Class of '01, Vice Chancellor for Academic Programs Steve Warshaw, President of Student Government Anita Simha, President of Student Senate Sarah Lee, Chair NCSSM Board of Trustees Shirley Fry, who's not here, but we wanted to recognize her, Vice Chair Board of Trustees Henry Quo, Class of '82, Board of Trustees members, Lavonia Allison, Carr Thompson, Tom Williams, and students, I want you to know this is a very special occasion. We have our very special 3 former chancellors, NCSSM chancellors and directors emeritus, Jerry Bowman, Chuck Elber, John Frederick. I would also like to recognize Dr. Gibbs' family, his parents, grandparents, sister, friends, and other family members here. They will be recognized later, but I wanted them to stand also. Please join me in welcoming all of our guests and dignitaries.
Well, again, I'd like to say welcome to the 33rd Convocation for the North Carolina School of Science and Mathematics. It's so wonderful to have so many distinguished guests here with us this evening, so many members of Dr. Gibbs' family here with us this evening, to have all of the former heads of school here this evening. It's great to have everyone here. And students, I hope this helps you realize the kind of place that you're becoming a part of or are a part of, and the type of community that you're part of, that you have so many folks that are here. We have former faculty here, everyone to welcome the start of the school year this year. Convocation signals the beginning of our year, and I hope that each of you has had a great first day of classes and are settling in for what I believe will be a wonderful school year. We are so happy that all 680 of you are here this year, and I tell you, I've never seen a better looking group of folks in my life. You're dressed so nicely. I think folks are thinking that maybe we should see if you guys could dress this way every day. What do you think? That's you look good. You look good. I want to take this opportunity also to welcome our guest speaker, Dr. Kenneth Gibbs, who's class of 2001, for traveling with us to be here this evening. We'll hear more about Dr. Gibbs' resume in just a couple of minutes. I think you'll be very interested in his amazing career and all that he has accomplished in the decades since he's graduated from the North Carolina School of Science and Mathematics. I think it's wonderful when we have alumni come to school and speak to our current students, because it lets you think about the possibilities that are there for you over the next 10 to 20 years of your life. And I think you'll be looking at yourself and thinking, wow, I can be a Kenny Gibbs. To this point in your life, you have worked very hard to achieve success and lay the foundation for your future. Every student in this auditorium has a success story to tell, or you would not be here. They're not all the same story. You're very different people and come from different parts of our state. This year, sitting here in the auditorium, Sorry about that. We have a water who wants to get out of here, but other than that, we have in this auditorium, amongst our 680 students, we have 92 of the 100 counties in North Carolina represented, which I think is just fantastic. With you bring a diversity of experiences that make you all different people, but you share a common commitment to learning, to being successful in school, and your desire to accept a greater challenge, and that's why each and every one of you are here. For the juniors who are here, you've had a lot of information thrown at you over the past few days, and I'll bet you're a little overwhelmed, but hopefully excited for what lies ahead of you. Seniors, first thing I guess is that you're glad you're not juniors, but also I know that you also have the same type of excitement for what lay ahead of you over the very busy next several months of your senior year. The start of the school year is always filled with great excitement. It's one of the 22 years in public education. You always look forward to the start of the school year and the excitement and the opportunities and possibilities that a new school year brings with it. So as you experience and learn and tackle with and enjoy all that lies ahead of you this year, I want to remember in particular what got you here this year. It's your commitment to learning and being successful in school. NCSSM is not like other schools. You'll have greater educational opportunities and greater challenges than ever before. Every one of you has the talent and ability to be successful, as successful here as you have been through your education to this point. Every member of our faculty and staff are here to help you succeed, and you'll find that there are no better and any more committed professionals anywhere than you have here at the North Carolina School of Science and Mathematics. However, it's your commitment to being successful that's most important. There's no more important thing to your success than your own commitment to it. So as we begin the 2012-13 school year, this school year is yours. It's yours for the challenge it presents you, yours for the learning it offers, and yours for the opportunities that lie ahead. So I'm looking forward to working with you this year and to your great success. So welcome to the 2012-13 school year.
It is my pleasure to introduce our alum speaker tonight. As you have heard, he is Dr. Kenneth Gibbs, Jr. He graduated from Science and Math in 2001. While at NCSSM, he provided strong leadership as student government president, in the classroom, and in many other ways. Kenny attended the University of Maryland, Baltimore County as a Meyerhoff Scholar, receiving his bachelor degree in biochemistry and molecular biology. He received a doctoral degree in immunology from the Stanford University School of Medicine. While at Stanford, as president of the Biomedical Association for the Interests of Minority Students, he worked to improve the training experiences for all students, with an emphasis on increasing the participation of trainees from traditionally underrepresented minority backgrounds. He hopes to return to academia where he can combine his passion for research, teaching, policy, and diversity. Presently, he is a Science and Technology Policy Fellow at the American Association for the Advancement of Science, AAAS, in Washington, D.C., an international nonprofit organization devoted to advancing science around the world. As a AAAS fellow, he has drafted sections of the federal government's strategic STEM education plan. That STEM, most of you know, is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and has researched elements that promote STEM workforce development. As well, he has presented his work nationally and internationally. It is a deep pleasure to welcome Kenny back to this school. I think you are going to be really interested in what he has to say. Please give him a welcome.
I brought some special effects with me, so bear with me. Thank you all behind the screen, hopefully. Oh, there we go. That's good. Can we get the projector on? That was an incredibly gracious welcome. I told Todd and Steve that I should come here more frequently, because not every day that I'm told how wonderful and special that I am. So you will learn as you get older to appreciate those instances, because they come few and far between. And I just really want to thank everybody who helped make this happen. It's incredibly humbling to be here today. Can we get the projector on, please? Boom. There we go. Asking you shall receive. Okay. So, I'm Kenny, and I hope to say some things that are useful to you over the next few minutes that we have together. A couple of housekeeping matters before I start. Because I'm a policy fellow in the federal government, I have to make it clear that the thoughts I express are my own as a private citizen and not those of the federal government or the National Science Foundation. And if you ever work in the government, you will understand that. I also have to take a minute to recognize and thank those who helped make this day possible. I recognize I stand here today due to the love and support of many people who have over the years loved me and continue to lift me so that I could achieve more than I ever thought possible. And so I have to thank and honor those who really have just been there along the way. And those include my parents, Kenneth and Lori Gibbs, my sisters, Tanisa and Claudia. Claudia can't be here, but Tanisa is here. As well as my grandparents. I had the honor of growing up with my grandparents here in Durham as well. And so they also participated in my raising. And so my grandfathers have passed away, sadly, but my grandmothers are here. And I also have to thank the love of my life, Tiana Terry. So thank you for being here. Yeah, y'all can hear me. So I called my talk Lessons 12 Years Later, and I was preparing my remarks. I was reflecting on my time here at NCSSM, which were 2 truly incredible years, and how much the world has changed since then. So I realized actually 12 years ago, I was standing on this stage speaking because I was student government president, and I think this will resolve a debate I heard was happening among some of the faculty earlier. So I did in fact speak here 12 years ago. It was the year 2000. The nation had survived Y2K. Ask your parents about what that is. We were all getting ready for a presidential election and the start of a new millennium, and the nation was enjoying a time of peace and economic growth. In short, life was good for many, and opportunities seemed to abound. I realized how long ago I was because I came to see the computer labs, and there are not computer labs anymore because you all have your own computers. There wasn't internet in the dorm. That's how old I am. Facebook did not exist. Neither did Twitter, so we had to communicate in more than 140 characters. Apple was a second-rate computer company, and this is what an iPhone looked like in the year 2000. So all of my people who are over 28 will recognize the old Nokia and the Discman. The subsequent years have been time of unexpected challenges for the nation and the world. There were the terrorist attacks of September 11th, which happened during my second week in college, and when many of you were still in grade school. And the subsequent 2 wars, an economic collapse and a sluggish recovery, as well as the rapid explosion of technology, Facebook, Twitter, iPhones, iPads, Androids, whatever platform you use. They really reshaped the world. And we are all coming to age at a time of, at a crossroads. It's a time of incredible opportunities and incredible challenges. And so I stand here today as a guy not who's made it and who knows everything, because I'm 29, so I don't. But I do stand here with a few pieces of advice to offer. I've gone a few steps further down the road and just reflecting back on what I've learned and what I wish that guy I showed a few slides ago knew before he left science and math. I thought I would give an address to you all, a bunch of high achievers who will most certainly leave your mark on this world and make it a better place. The first piece of advice I have to give to you, it may seem obvious, but it is this. Do not forget to breathe. You're like, Kenny, this is self-evident. I am breathing because I'm sitting here listening to you. I'm not talking about automatic respiration. I'm talking about taking a deep breath that allows you to calm and recenter yourself when you're dealing with times of high stress and where the stakes seem really, really high. So everybody try it with me. In on 3, and I'm gonna do a slow exhale. So breathe in, slow exhale. Feel better already, right? It's good even when you're doing convocation speeches and you get a little nervous before them. So these are angsty days for our nation and for many of you specifically. I'm sure many of you juniors are anxious, wondering if the school, did they make a mistake by letting me in? Yeah, okay. By the snickers, I see that's a widely shared sentiment. You come from high schools near or far where you have, of course, done well. Yet as you sit here tonight, you're at the dawn of a new chapter and you're wondering if you have what it takes to cut it here. Am I good enough? That is exactly what I was thinking when I was sitting in these seats in the fall of 1999. You're probably thinking, what if I fail? I have to go back. Then everybody will know I was just posing all along, right? So this is not true. When the thoughts of doubt come in, we all have them, don't forget to breathe. Each of you was chosen because the faculty and staff know that you have what it takes to make it here. And so until you fully believe in yourself, let their belief carry you. And you'll feel more comfortable as the days and years go on. The seniors are in the midst of college applications, which is, of course, very antsy, nerve-inducing. And all of you high achievers, like all of us high achievers, are in the midst of this big narrative that goes something like this. Around high school, it's like this. I have to take a bunch of AP courses and get 4 and 5s and do really, really well on my SAT, because if I don't do well on my SAT, I can't get into the right college. If I don't get into the right college, I can't get into the right grad school, med school, law school, or business school. And if I don't get into the right grad school, med school, law school, or business school, I can't get the perfect job, perfect spouse, perfect kids, and perfect life. So really, my whole life hinges on how I do on these AP tests and this SAT. Now, you notice when I was saying that, I wasn't actually breathing. And you can't breathe when you put that much pressure on one test or set of tests. I'll say in a minute, hard work is important. But the fact of the matter is that 12 years from now, nobody will ask or care how many AP classes you took, or ask what your SAT score was. When I showed up here, it was 1120 out of 1600, which was low by science and math standards. And it contributed to that feeling of, ooh, do I actually belong here? Especially when I have dudes across the hall complaining about a 1500 out of 1600 and saying that's low. And I'm like, well, goodness, where am I? So when we get caught up in this meta-narrative, take a deep breath. No matter how many explicit or implicit messages you get to this effect, this is not true. I promise you, no single test or series of tests will determine the course of your life. If you put that much weight on these markers of success, then you actually can't do well, because you'll be too nervous to think clearly and creatively, and your clear and creative thinking is what got you here in the first place. So take a deep breath and carry on. It's important to recognize that things that are important are not ultimate, right? The tasks before you are important. You should aim to do well, but no singular test will determine the course of your life. Even more importantly, know that your performance is not the same thing as your value. Because you are a bunch of high achievers at the School of Science and Math, you've probably been called smart since before you knew how to talk. And that becomes part of your identity. And so if you come here and you're around all these other people and you're not the smartest anymore, because there's only one person who can be that, and this is School of Science and Math, so there's more than one of you here, right? Then you start to think, oh my gosh, who am I? Do I have any value? Do I have anything to give? Yes, you do. When the thoughts come, and they come, take a deep breath with a slow exhale and carry on. While you're doing all that deep breathing, remember to work hard. There's no substitute for working hard. Now, you got to be faithful to the task before you today, the task that's at hand. So if it's studying for your exam, do that well. If it's studying for the SAT, do that well, while remembering, taking your deep breath, that the SAT alone will not dictate the course of your life. Make sure you put the best effort that you can in, all right? We spend so much time comparing ourselves. I only have 1120. That guy has a 1500 on the SAT. Am I good enough? Doesn't matter. It's important, but I want you to remember that you just need to do the best that you can. And if you do the best that you can, that's all anyone can ask of you. And so if the best I can get is a B+, and I put my all into it, which is what I got in Dr. Doyle's turbo class, then I felt really, really good about myself, because I gave it all I had. Right? And if the best I have is an A, that's great. And if people know that you're not doing your best, that's when they get upset with you. But recognize just putting in the effort that you can. Be faithful to the task at hand. Do the best you can. And don't rest on your laurels. Yes, you all have ability and a record of achievement. And that record got you here. That record will not take you to the place that you want to go. Only your hard work will. And this is a lesson I learned pretty acutely here at North Carolina School of Science and Math. So during my junior year, I worked in the admissions office for my work service requirement. When it came time to apply to be a student ambassador, I said to myself, well, of course I'll get it. I'm qualified, I work here, they like me, got it in the bag. So this cocky attitude resulted in me being very, very sloppy on the application, because I just took it for granted that I'd get the position. Why not? I'm Kenny, right? We'll get to the next point too. As you can imagine, I did not get this position. The staff person in the admissions office told me that they knew that I was qualified and they knew that I could do it. But since it's an institution of learning, they needed me to learn that I could not be so pompous as to assume that just because I'm good, that people will give me stuff. Don't have a sense of entitlement. It's not a good look. So just remember to keep working hard and don't rest on your laurels. And we think about the Olympics, which we had a few weeks ago, Gabby, Michael, and all the rest. They worked really, really hard to get to the Olympics. They didn't just say, hey, I've arrived, everybody bow down. No, they kept pressing, they kept working hard, being faithful to the task at hand. So I just want to encourage you to take a deep breath and continue to work very, very hard. This brings me to my third point, and it is humility, being humble. Humility is not cool these days, swagger is. The most prominent models of leadership that we have societally tend to subscribe to the never let them see you sweat philosophy. They say that everything I accomplished, I did on my own, as though they were some superwoman or superman who didn't benefit from the broader structures that support us all. It's one way to live. I don't think it's a particularly honest or productive way, because you'll see that in 10 years, you'll be dealing with lots of people who have achieved a lot, but some are very full of themselves, and it's not particularly good for you or the others that you're dealing with. The Proverbs say that pride goes before destruction, but humility comes before honor. Everybody say humility. Humility. All right. This is a powerful truth that I found to be operative in every domain of my life: professional, personal, academic, relational. Humility comes before honor. Part of humility means recognizing your limits. We all have them. You are a human being, not an academic robot. Please remember to take care of yourself. One thing that I've seen in the last 12 years is that as people tend to ascend, and again, I have a PhD from Stanford, so you hang out with MDs, MBAs, JDs, MDivs, the whole alphabet soup of degrees, you see that people tend to let self-care go by the wayside. Just as you build in time for your classes and study into your schedule, please build time for rest into your schedule. Make sure that you maintain the relationships that are important and that will carry you on as you have the task before you. I know you're busy. We all are. Here's the thing. You never get less busy. I'm busier now than I've ever been before. You just become good at what you practice. So if you practice being able to achieve a high level while taking care of yourself, you'll become very good at that. But if you practice not taking care of yourself, sacrificing your health, then you'll become good at that too. And it becomes a pattern of life. And it's, again, something I've seen, and I've seen even in myself over the years, and I've worked to correct when I see it. Part of humility is asking for help. When you're in high school, being smart and successful is very one-dimensional. Smart people, all of you people, are the people who know everything and don't need to ask anybody else for help, right? That's how it worked in your old schools. That's not the way the world works. The smartest people I know are the people who know how to ask for help in order to accomplish their goals. No woman or man is an island. It is not a sign of weakness to ask for help if you need it. It's a sign of strength and intelligence that's rooted in humility. If you're struggling in your class, there's no shame in studying with people. I studied with folks through college, and we all got through with GPAs greater than 3.6 in biochemistry, and we all have our PhDs or MDs now, right? It works well. Study with people. Humility also means being able to accept help when it's offered, because you might be so used to not having to get help that it becomes hard to accept it. Humility is asking. Humility is accepting. Humility is offering help when you see somebody can use your help and not lording it over them, saying, hey, well, I know this and I can make you feel bad about it, because you will at some point need somebody else's help, and you don't want them making you feel stupid when you ask. Humility also means listening, something I've had to learn over the years. You are all very, very gifted, but don't make the mistake of many high achievers of thinking that nobody else is smarter than them. Again, it's not particularly helpful, and the Proverbs say that without counsel, plans fail, but with many advisors, they succeed. Without counsel, what you try to do fails, but when you have lots of advice, it helps you to succeed. Now, the world changes, and so, even if you try to do the exact same things that I did, you wouldn't do it the same way because the context that you're in is different. But when you listen to people who've gone a few years or many years ahead of you, then you start to realize the patterns and the things that can help you live a very wise life. Also recognizing that you can you can listen and get advice from many different kind of people, not just people with PhDs. My two late grandfathers who aren't here had 4th and 8th grade educations, but they had lived deep, deep lives, and they knew a lot, and I was able to listen and learn from them. Even though their path was different, they were born into a different America, they still had things that they could offer me as a young man seeking high level of educational attainment. So listen to lots of different kinds of people, and you start to hear things that can help you live a wise life. The fourth point that I have is please be sure to use your privilege for good. Or, as the institution says, maius opus moveo, accept the greater challenge. When I was growing up, my parents told me repeatedly, to whom much is given, much is required. That means if you've been given a lot, and no matter where you come from or what your socioeconomic background, the fact that you're sitting here in this auditorium tonight means that you've been given a lot. You have to do something with that more than your own self-advancement. Being at science and math means you have access to one of the highest quality educations on the planet, as well as a network of people, faculty, and staff standing behind you who will help you go as far as your dreams, talent, and hard work will take you. Please, I beg of you, do something more than that than just your own self-advancement. As I said earlier, our nation and our world are at a crossroads. The world is meant to flourish, but the path forward seems unclear. Institutions are failing, public trust is eroding, and people are generally uncertain. There's so much hurt, so much darkness and brokenness in the world. Yet this is also a time of incredible promise. Technology connects us more than ever before and allows us to go farther, faster, and dream bigger than ever before. Be part of a story that is bigger than your own personal success or failure. I know that each of you has the capability to help solve these big problems. So no matter how you choose to use your talent, please use them for building up the world and providing opportunities for others, not just for hoarding everything for yourself. There's plenty to go around. One of the things people say, oh, I have to do this because if I don't get mine, then nobody will get theirs. It's not true. You can achieve a lot and bring a lot of people with you along the way. And it's more fun when you have people when you have some company with you. To whom much is given, much is required. So whether you choose to go into the sciences, medicine, finance, law, tackle environmental problems, energy problems, the arts, politics, corporate America, academia, K-12 education, the church, your family, wherever you find yourself, be part of making these systems and institutions live up to their full potential. If there's darkness, be a person of light. If there's inequity, be a person of justice. If you see brokenness, be a person of healing. True greatness comes not just through hard work, though that is important. True greatness also comes through service. Still with me? All right, just checking. I've been talking a lot. All right, we're halfway there. It gets a little lighter in the second half, after this point. Point number 5, build your character in addition to your capabilities. Famed UCLA coach John Wooden said, ability will get you to the top, but it takes character to keep you there. I know it might not be wise to quote a UCLA coach in the Research Triangle Park, but I didn't want to quote Coach K or Roy Williams or Dean Smith because then half of y'all would just turn your brains off. So please accept this as my peace offering to any of you Carolina, Duke, and State fans who are offended in any other institution that you cheer for. Ability may get you to the top, but it takes character to keep you there. Character defects have consequences for the individuals who have those defects and the people who count on us to do the right thing. Seemingly every week and in every domain, you see the effects of character failure. Sports, media, politics, science. My guess is that none of these people, when they were 16 or 17, said, when I grow up, I'm going to be known as a plagiarizer. I'm going to break the rules. I'm going to be an adulterer. I'm going to turn a blind eye when unspeakable things are happening to children at my institution, yet this is where they all ended up. And people who depend on them, their lives were hurt. And our people are hurt when we are not men and women of integrity. Now, to be clear, I'm not knocking them and saying these are terrible, irredeemable people who can never do anything good in their life, because that's not true. We are all flawed, so let none of us be so pompous as to think we are too big to fall. However, recognizing your flaws is an act of humility and allows you to take the step to repair them. David Brooks is a columnist at the New York Times, and he wrote about the kind of mindset of high achievers today in a column that appeared in May, and I want to read some of it to you. It's called The Service Patch, as we try to figure out what we want to do with our lives. He said, in whatever field you go into, you will face greed, frustration, and failure. You may find your life challenged by depression, alcoholism, infidelity, your own stupidity, and self-indulgence. So how should you structure your soul to prepare for this? And again, I'm trying to be too heavy, but we exalt capability so much, and capability is important. Study hard, do well, but you also need to be a person of character. Capabilities are necessary, but not sufficient. Simply working at Amnesty International instead of McKinsey will not necessarily help you get through all these primal character tests. You can devote your life to community service and be a total schmuck. You can spend your life on Wall Street and be a hero. Understanding heroism and schmuckdom requires fewer Excel spreadsheets, more Dostoevsky, and the Book of Job. Now, do all your homework that your teachers assign you, but in addition to that, make sure you think about what it means to be a person, a man or woman of character. So, question, I'm reading ahead. In addition to figuring out what you want to do when you grow up, wrestle with the question, what kind of woman or man do you want to be? Because what you do will change, who you are will not. A year ago, I was sitting in lab pipetting, doing stem cell research. Now I'm at the National Science Foundation doing science education policy and getting to speak to y'all. My work has changed, my character, by and large, has not. If you see things that you don't like in yourself, take some corrective action now, right? You only become more of yourself as you get older, and you don't educate or succeed your way to good character, which is what the last slide demonstrated, or a few slides ago demonstrated. Part of character means voicing values even when it's unpopular. Penn State's an example. There were lots of really highly educated, highly successful people who let really, really terrible things happen. And so again, education is important, but it's not enough. They were part of a culture that said this is more important. Football, success is more important than protecting children. And you might feel a similar pressure. Again, if you're part of that big narrative, it says, I have to get an A on this no matter what it takes, even if I need to cheat. That's not being a person of character, and that robs you of the confidence that you have the ability to do it on your own, which you all do. So give voice to your values even when it's unpopular. Respect yourself. We should all assume and treat every human being as though they deserve respect and dignity. You've grown up when there's been a general breakdown of civility in the culture, and so people that you disagree with aren't just right and wrong, they're idiots and evil and subhuman. And you'll see that particularly, I see that a lot in DC. You'll see that as you live in a swing state, and so if you turn on the television and see any of the presidential ads from any candidate, no matter who you're for or your parents are for, you'll see this, oh, this person's evil, this person's the devil. Please don't be part of that. Respect other people, even if they have differences from you, because you get to learn a lot. It also means respecting yourselves and refusing to compromise. And I was doing this last night, and I was like, I think I sound like one of those cranky old guys, but since I'm 29, hang with me. Young ladies, you come in a world where people tell you to be very explicit, flaunt your body all around, because that's the only way that you get respect. 12 years later, the women that men respect are the ones who have some modesty and self-respect. So please respect yourselves. And young men, respect the young ladies and don't treat them as playthings and people for your pleasure. Treat them as people to cherish. Just had to say that. So I figure I'm in the South, so I can get that out. At Stanford, this wouldn't fly. So just think about what it means to be a young man or woman of character. And as we do that, we move to point 6, which comes to us courtesy of that great philosopher from Finding Nemo, Dory the fish. Goes something like this. Hopefully this will work.
Hey, Mr. Grumpy Gills. When life gets you down, you know what you gotta do?
I don't want to know what you gotta do.
Just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, swimming, swimming. What do? We swim, swim.
Dory, no singing. Dory.
I love to swim in.
Dory.
When you want to swim, you want
See,
to
I'm gonna get stuck
on.
now with that song. Now it's in my head.
Sorry.
Thank you. So, you clap for that? Have you guessed what point number 6 is? It is to just keep swimming. Say it with me. Just keep swimming. Lots of opportunity, lots of beauty in the world. Lots and lots of challenges as well. You will fail, we all do. The thing that differentiates high achievers from the rest is not that they don't fail, because everybody does. It's being able to learn from failure and turn it into a success. I did very well in college. I got a PhD from a fancy school. I have a pretty sweet gig now. So that doesn't mean that there hasn't or there doesn't continue to be points where I struggle in my life. And so when I have those moments, I call on Dory and I say, just keep swimming. I'll go through a few of the things that have been challenges for me, which you might be able to identify with either now or over the next few years. Before I was at science and math, I was a straight A student. You can imagine my dismay when I got here and started having this alphabet soup on my report card. I got not one, but 2 C's during the 3rd quarter of my junior year. Completely horrifying. And yet, I'm still here, right? So if it happens, take a deep breath, regroup, figure out how to correct it going forward. I was a finalist for the Moorhead Scholarship, which is a very, very big deal. And they did not give it to me. So I not only had to deal with my own disappointment, I had to deal with everybody else's disappointment for a month. Oh, they robbed you. Oh, that's wrong. And I'm like, well, I'm kind of irked right now, but I got to deal with you being sad. So again, didn't happen. Harvard did not take me as an undergraduate. So it's okay, They took me as a grad student, but then I went to Stanford. Haha. Just kidding, yeah. We kid. Harvard's a wonderful institution. Who knows, they might want to hire me one day, so I don't want to burn any bridges. Over the last year, I've had relationships fail. I've had loved ones die, and even a close friend at Stanford commit suicide due to the pressure, right? And so these things happen. Life is sad, right? And the first 2 things I applied to in DC for my policy gigs did not take me, yet I am there now. So when this happens, and you have run up against your own roadblocks, bigger or smaller than these, just keep swimming. Just keep swimming means that when you face challenges and setbacks, hurts and pains, you have the option to stop or to continue to move forward. This does not mean that you ignore the real pain or the real problems that you're having. You take time to assess what's going on, but you also don't stop there. You keep moving forward. Sometimes we have to swim through hardships and failures, and other times we have to swim through a tide of exclusion or low expectation. We live in a world of incredible opportunities, but those opportunities are not equally shared. And people, argue about the causes, historical, structural, or personal, but the fact remains that factors like race, gender, ethnicity, class, or how one identifies with respect to sexual orientation, religious identification, or the intersections of all those things, disability status, still can disproportionately influence one's levers to achievement or advancement. This is something I've run up against as a black man in science. We do exist, but we are few and far between. And so, you can have the choice. You can stop or you can just keep swimming. Now, this can take many forms. For me, it was sometimes very snide and hurtful remarks where colleagues, some even at the school, disregarded all my hard work and accomplishments and told me my achievements were only because I was black. And I was like, here I thought my GPA, my then improved SAT score, being student body president helped me get here. You reduced that all, so it's like, that was a little, it can be hurtful. Don't do that. But when these things happen, I took the advice of my father, who said, let it roll off your back like water off a duck. I'm going to be very colloquial here for a minute. Rappers say, haters gonna hate, right? It's a fact of life. That's what haters do. If they were supporting you, they'd be called boosters, but that's why they're called haters. Don't let anybody define you or tell you who you can become. Sometimes you swim against structural tides. And again, this is not assigning blame. It's a fact of life. When I was at Stanford University in the School of Medicine in my building, where I had a wonderful, wonderful time and a great opportunity, in my building of 600 biomedical scientists, I was the only black person who was not a mailman, a janitor, or a technician in the year 2005 to 10. So sometimes if you face this, and you might face this as, the first person in your family going to college, or, if you're Jeremy Lin playing basketball, or if you're a woman pursuing, computer science or engineering, it can become very lonely. And then what you'll start to do is say, well, maybe I don't belong here. And then you'll take yourself out of further opportunities. There I called on the advice of my mother, who said, don't self-eliminate. Let other people tell you what you can't do. Don't take yourself out of the running. And I've seen this happen acutely time and time again, especially for people who are breaking barriers and going into domains where folks like them don't necessarily always populate. And don't let anybody or any structure tell you who you can become and what you can be. You start to realize as you get older that, I have friends who are professors at like Harvard and Stanford and all these other places, right? You start to realize these people aren't any more special than you. then when you see them do it, you're like, well, I can do that. One of my great buddies, I'll point to him, Seth Miller, he's right there. So y'all can turn around. He's a cancer doctor at UNC, so y'all should holler at him afterwards. He can tell you all about that. I'm sure many of you want to be MDs. But again, you start to realize that your friends start doing these very, very impressive things. And you're like, well, we hung out together. So, you might say, hey, if Kenny can be convocation speaker, I can probably do it in a few years. So whether you're the first person in your family to go to college or the first person of your creative class to attempt to break a barrier, when you have moments of setbacks, do what Dory tells us, just keep swimming. Finally, maybe most importantly, please have fun. See, I told you we lighten up a little bit at the end. The tragic events of Colorado last month are a reminder of how short life can be and how much of a gift each day is. Life's too short to be miserable. You have so much to be grateful and thankful for. Please enjoy it. You enjoy life most when you pursue your passion. I've learned that if I do what I'm passionate about, I tend to do well at it, because even though it takes a lot of effort, it doesn't feel like work. And success begets success. So when you do one thing well, people will give you new opportunities to do other things. Again, I was sitting in a lab last year doing cancer stuff. In the year since then, I've traveled to Japan to present my stem cell research. I've had meetings at the White House with Nobel laureates to advise them on how to shape the federal government's STEM education portfolio. It's like, I frequently pinch myself, including moments like this where I'm like, who am I and how did I get here? But, when people see you doing well, they will give you new and other opportunities. This is a long way for a boy from Durham, North Carolina, I like to think. And as you get older, please keep dreaming. The older you get, you'll find more and more people will tell you why what you want to do, what you know needs to happen, can't be done. They'll tell you, stop dreaming, go with the flow. I tell you, continue to follow your passion. Resist the temptation not to dream. It's imperative to listen to advice, but it's also imperative to do what you were put on this earth to do. As former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice said recently, somehow things that once seemed impossible become inevitable in retrospect. You think about how much the world has changed, how much I, as a black man with two grandfathers who grew up in the Deep South, who were systematically excluded from every institution in this country, yet were faithful to the work before them, and then I can stand here, not even 2 generations later, being able to address this crowd. It would have seemed impossible 60 years ago, inevitable now. What is it that you think needs to happen in this world that seems impossible now, but future generations of science and mathers will say is inevitable? My twin passions are science and education, because I think these are two of the best and most powerful tools that we have to help shape the greater good that I was talking about earlier. And so, this is a wonderful year or two where you can explore your passions and figure out what really makes you tick. And keep searching for it, because when you find it, there's nothing better than that. So in retrospect, what I would tell that guy 12 years later is what I tell all of you. Please do not forget to breathe. Again, breathe with me one more time. Slow exhale. And while you're breathing, work hard. Continue to be humble, and if you are not, learn to be humble. Use your privilege for good. Build your character in addition to your capabilities. When life gets hard, you just keep swimming. And most importantly, please have fun. This has been a blast for me. I hope you have a great year. Thank you so much for listening.
Take a deep breath.
Okay.
And keep going.
Thank you. Distinguished faculty, guests, and students, I am honored to stand before you and welcome you to what will undoubtedly be a memorable year. Juniors, it's great to finally meet you after the incessant Facebook posts where seniors said it would be great to finally meet you. And to the seniors, I can almost picture the juniors trying not to fall asleep as we walk across that stage to graduate. We have spent 12 long years with lines to the water fountain and alphabetically ordered seating charts, naive substitute teachers, and is it multiple choice or fill in the blanks? We've come so far since then,
stripping away all childlike tendencies except, of course, nap time. And now we have one last year with which to make the most, and I have no doubt that we will. We've just reunited, but we will be out on Watts Lawn receiving our diplomas in who knows how soon. I mean, I know, 9 months, 1 week, and 4 days, but who's counting? And to the junior class, prepare yourselves for the best school year of your lives since kindergarten. While minimal macaroni art is produced here, I am sure the seniors can vouch that the lasting friendships we formed are far more worthwhile than a wobbly house made of uncooked barilla. If you have not yet experienced it firsthand, NCSSM fosters a unique camaraderie among its students that no other school comes close to rivaling. The people sitting in this auditorium with you are, or will soon become, your closest friends and confidants, not just for the next year or two, but for the rest of your lives. When I first arrived at Science and Math on August 13th of last year, I immediately bonded with my hallmates over bananagrams. Soon, we were gathering in someone's room after check for a nightly story time and racing to Volley High together second trimester to grab some dinner before the sun set. The bonds you form with your peers here, on and off hall, are some of the strongest you'll ever experience. And to my third bell girls, you guys are the best. As long as you stay off my bed. But sometime between all of the rubber band flicking, pencil tapping, and late night snacking, we will find time to be productive. That time might be past midnight, but we'll do what needs to be done. It's counterintuitive. I have found that my relationships with friends and hallmates have actually increased my capacity to learn. That's one of the things I love most about this school. NCSSM is a community, built on the idea of academic excellence, but maintained by the resilience of our unity. While lasting friendships and a welcoming social atmosphere are nurtured, they serve to reinforce the school's legacy of academic achievement. Whether it's Gen Chem, Phys Tops, Pre-Cal, or WEX, you'll find people, both teachers and peers, who are qualified and willing to help you grasp a concept. And by all means, don't take for granted that we attend the best school in the state and one of the best in the nation. Some of us will venture to California, Massachusetts, Singapore, or the White House to showcase our academics, and they will do so with 600 of North Carolina's best supporting them wholeheartedly. That's the sort of spirit we have here. As they say, haters gonna hate, but boosters gonna boost, and we have a school full of boosters. Still, don't write us off as mathletes at a nerd school. The school boasts champions in soccer, volleyball, cross country, and everyone knows our football team has been undefeated since 1980. But more so than the sports themselves, we unicorns distinguish ourselves by our spirit and pride in our school. Obviously, the athletes among us are beyond talented, but it sure helps to have stands full of fans doing the uniflex. And that's what we are, unicorns. A unit, a team, and a group. And everyone knows that a group of lions is called a pride, geese a gaggle, and sheep a herd. But do you know what a group of unicorns is called? It's a blessing. And sitting before me, hopefully awake and paying attention to my ramblings thus far, is a blessing. It's interesting, really, because what with our sagacious faculty, invaluable resources, and innate ability to beat Raleigh Charter, it seems as though we are more blessed than a blessing. We will face many challenges over the course of this school year, be it college applications, 5 o'clock sunsets, or trimester exams, and we'll encounter many marvels, from morning free blocks to the PFM on Thanksgiving, to delicious Mad Hatter's baked goods in the student store. But through all the ups and downs, we will face them together. And for that, I truly can say that we are blessed. Thank you, and I look forward to accepting the greater challenge together.
I'd like to again say thank you to the members of our Convocation Committee who helped to make all of this possible. And again to Dr. Gibbs, thank you so much for being here and being such an inspiring role model for all of our students, and for the good advice that you not only left them, but I think left the rest of us as well. So thank you again for being here. In case probably 12 years, if you still have your NCSSM t-shirts and hats and gears, they probably need a little refurbishing. So on behalf of the school, thank you. And thank you to all of our faculty and staff and our distinguished guests who are here this evening. And again, to all of our faculty and staff, thank you so much for helping get the 2012-13 school year off to such a wonderful start. We greatly appreciate that, and I know the students do, all of your hard work. And finally, to all of you sitting out there, the classes of 2013 and 14, thank you for your willingness to accept the greater challenge and to make what this school year will be is largely due to you and what you make of it. So we look forward to all you're going to accomplish over the course of this year, and for your continuing to keep the tradition of excellence at the North Carolina School of Science and Math alive. So thank you so much. And at this point, I hope that when we recess, that everyone will stay around and join us out on the Bryan lawn for a reception, a chance to talk to Dr. Gibbs and get some more words of wisdom and advice. So thank you again for being here this evening, and have a great 2012-2013 school year.